Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Welcome, everybody, to the Hockey Think Tank podcast, brought to you by the Hockey Think Tank community, place for all passionate hockey players, parents, and coaches to go to get a little bit of education and a little bit of inspiration regarding the greatest game on the planet. What an episode we have for you guys here today. We are bringing on the director of hockey performance at Sacred Heart University, Rob Dombrowski. This was a phenomenal conversation on hockey performance, specifically as it relates to strength and conditioning, and just a passionate, awesome hockey guy, very well respected in the industry, and just a great dude. Now, before we do bring on the talent of the podcast, just a couple updates here from the Hockey Think Tank. Number one, we are live, public, with our parent education resources. And so what we did is we made two courses for parents, and we feel like one of the biggest needs and one of the biggest gaps that isn't around in youth hockey nowadays is just parent education. So we created two courses. The first one is all about how can you understand the journey a little bit better so you can really enjoy it with your son or with your daughter, with your hockey player. And so we talk about things like parent FOMO. We talk about things like early sports specialization. We talk about things like how and when is it appropriate to talk to your kid's coach, and things like that. And it goes a long way. We feel like every hockey parent should have this in their arsenal. Also, we created a information guide course on if your son or your daughter has a dream of playing high-level hockey, what's the path to get there? Right? What's junior hockey? When are kids going to play college hockey? What are some things that we can do to reach out to different high-level hockey teams? And what's the process like to get there? So many people have a dream of playing high-level hockey, but they're not really sure on what the right path is to get there. And so with that, we created this course to kind of take you through that. As a neutral observer, one of the sections that we have in there is, do you need an advisor? What does an advisor do? And we get that question all the time. And so these two parent courses that we came up with, one, we want to help you enjoy this journey with your son or with your daughter, give you some tips on doing that. Another one is if they do want to play high level hockey, here are some things that you can do to help get some perspective to put your son or your daughter in that way. And we also have two separate ones, one for the men and one for the women. Too many times the girls hockey side gets neglected. We wanted to make sure that we provided girls hockey players with that type of knowledge as well. How can they make it to the highest level? College hockey, PWHL, if you're lucky enough, the Olympics, right? So go to thehockeythinktank.com today. We'll have courses on there. You can get it. Not a lot of money to do it. Just $20 for the course. We want to make sure that this is accessible for everybody. And so go to thehockeythinktank.com today for that. Jeffrey Jehu Lavecchio, we're going to welcome you, Dow, to this introduction to the podcast. Vex, how you doing today, brother?
Allow myself to introduce myself. Yes, I'm doing great. Thank you very much. Dropped the news on the new space last week. Everybody's buzzing around town about that, so it's super exciting. Had two of my NHL guys reach out and be like, hey man, want to donate to the space, make it even better, which like coolest text ever to get. And just dealing with trying to get that place up and running by May 15th. That's the goal for me, to get my guys over there. So just on that grind, baby, getting everything going and getting the boys here already in town that I train, that are the midget and below players at TPH St. Louis, ready for playoffs, man.
There we go, man. There we go. I love it. That place looks sick. Like it looks sick right now, but I can see like what you're going to do with it. And I can't even, you got to have like a before and after pictures.
I'm going to do so much before and after, because that's something that I only like kind of did with other spaces I've redone. And I don't have like good footage to show like, this is what this dump used to look like. And here's what it's like after I worked the magic. And so I'm really excited to kind of document that whole process. Because one of my favorite things is finding a way to make every space functional for whatever the clientele is in it. Obviously, I mainly work with hockey players, so it's going to be really, really fun.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool. What are your thoughts on these parent education courses we got going on here?
Absolutely love it. And I love that you made it stupid cheap too. Like, I'm so happy. Like, just everything you do for the hockey community. I hope everybody who's listening shares this wide and far, especially after the videos that Toph and I were putting out 2 weeks ago with the dad jumping on the ice and assaulting 2 young refs and the craziness that is the hockey world. Like, this is only going to help as kind of a guiding light and a helping hand and just so many different things that's going to help the hockey community. So really cool, bro.
Yeah, we feel like one of the biggest things that is needed in the hockey world is parent education, and there's very little of it going on. Yeah. And so so many of the questions that I get through DMs and emails and stuff come from hockey parents. And how can I help my son or my daughter to achieve their dreams, from that all the way to, like, I'm really stressed. Like, what do I do? Like, how can I enjoy this a little bit more? And so we talk about, like, very real questions that I get all the time. What's a good car ride home look like with your kid? So incredibly important. How is it appropriate to speak to my kid's coach when I have an issue? So incredibly important. I have this fear of missing out, like, all these people are doing all these different things, like, and I just don't know if that's right for my kid. Like, we have honest conversations about those things. And again, my goal in putting these courses out there is to give you some perspective where you can enjoy this journey with your kid. It's not just your kid's journey, it's your journey too. And you should enjoy it. You should be as knowledgeable as possible on development, on the path. If your kid is on that path or wants to be on that path to high level hockey, that's why we did 2 of them. That's why we did actually 3. We did our parent education course to enjoy it. And then we did the to the high level for both the boys and the girls side too. So we hope that this can help a lot of people understand youth hockey a little bit more, both on the granular side at the grassroots level, and then at the higher side as well. And yeah, man, I'm really excited about this. I think it's going to make a huge impact on the hockey world. And again, like I said, we wanted to make sure from a cost standpoint that this was accessible to everybody that needs it or anybody that wants it. And, like, honestly, the feedback that I get, man, when I do my in-person stuff or my virtual stuff and working with the youth organization Blueprint with all the parents that we have, the best feedback we get is the parent stuff. Not just from the organization, but from the parents as well. And I've had parents, specifically dads, multiple of them, come to me in tears saying, "Where were you like 5 years ago? Like, right. I needed this talk," because their relationship with their kid was fractured based on how they treated them through the hockey experience. Wow. And, whether it be being too hard on their kid, or whether it being, like being a coach in the car, like a really negative car ride home, there's so many things that go into it. And as parents, it's, you can either put your kid in an environment where they're going to fall a little bit more in love with the game, or you can create an environment with your relationship with them that's going to suck that out of them. And we want to make sure that we create that environment, and we help parents create that environment where their kids are going to continue to fall in love with the game every day. And so, yeah, we're really excited about it, and we think it's going to make a huge impact, man. Huge impact.
I mean, yeah, there's zero doubt in my mind. And the Blueprint, and you working with all the organizations and the podcast, and, just helping parents realize, like, you don't have to do everything. You don't have to play in the spring league. I mean, there's an organization here in town that I just found out that is telling certain players that they're not allowed to go to certain schools, like high schools. If you want to be on this team, you're not allowed to go to that high school. Like, what? That's not a thing. That's not allowed. What? Yeah, I just found it out today, bro. Yeah. Like, that's like, coma what? Are you kidding me? Like, if some guy tried to tell me, "Oh, if you want to be on this team, you're not allowed to go to this. You can go to any school but this school."
That's crazy.
No, you're not going to tell my kid where he can go to high school
for their education. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Get the F out of here. Like, what is going on? So, like, you just helping people through all of that, and with what you're doing with the blueprint and the parent guide, and obviously what we do on the podcast, man, it's really cool, really helpful.
Yeah, looking forward to it. So that's out now, and go to the hockeythinktank.com, go to the website, and it'll be on there, and we're super excited about it. Now, changing gears, this podcast with Rob, dude, I think one of the most, it's funny, our 10 questions that we do, that's housed in our Hockey Think Tank community. One of the questions that we give to the people is, what's the biggest compliment you could ever give somebody, right? Like, what's important to you? What's the compliment? And for me, one of the biggest compliments that I could ever give somebody is they were genuine. They're a genuine person. Rob, for me, I had never met him before this, and have heard through the grapevine and talked to people beforehand that he's worked with or knows. And they're like, dude, this guy's like just the best guy in the world. He is a very genuine guy, a very genuine person who really cares about the people that he works with. That comes out with flying colors. And I really enjoyed this conversation. If you're interested and passionate about strength and conditioning, one of the questions I asked towards the middle is like, Vex, I want you and Rob to nerd it up right now. I need you guys to nerd it up right now and really get into the nitty gritty, which was such a fascinating conversation for me that is not that knowledgeable. And I think you guys are going to absolutely love that. But ultimately, like, he's the director of performance for Sacred Heart. Sacred Heart is having an incredible year this year. And they're going to have a chance to win Atlantic Hockey, win their league. And so it was really cool to get into the nitty gritty of some of the things that he's doing with those players. Really, really cool to get into the mind of just a really, really smart hockey guy and a really, really genuine hockey guy at the end of the day.
Man, I mean, we have fun on every single podcast, and we get off every podcast and we're like, God, that was such a good episode. But obviously anytime it's with a strength coach, because that's my life, I light up a little bit more. And man, what a great guy. His players are so lucky to have a guy like him. The way that he sees training and how it can help hockey or hurt hockey, and personality wise, and just everything about the guy, man. Instantly, huge freaking fan of him. I went and followed him on all his socials. Like, absolutely love the guy. This is a really good episode. He's obviously very passionate about what he does, and he's doing a really good job. So you guys are you're gonna love this episode.
For sure. So before we do get over to Rob, we do have some people to thank. First, we want to thank our title sponsor, icehockeysystems.com, the best website out there for all your coaching education needs. They have thousands of drills. They have whiteboard explanations from really high-level hockey people, and really, really cool, the ability to go in there, drop your drills, create a drill library for yourself, create a practice plan library for yourself, and even print it out and send it out to your players digitally before practice so they know what's going on. Just an amazing company with great people that lead it. And so go to icehockeysystems.com today and actually look up the associations platform, because we have partnered with them so you can get this for every single coach within your organization, and not just every coach, but every parent as well, because they have access to Hockey Think Tank Parent Survival Guide. So go there today, icehockeysystems.com.
I want to say thank you to Train Heroic. My boys, I actually talked to the owner of the app today, Josh. Unbelievable guy. Guys, the reason that I've been able to help over 33,000 hockey players since COVID with my online training is because of this amazing platform that allows me to deliver the best training experience, whether you are a college team, a junior team, midget team, youth team, or just an individual player, and you want to get the best possible training for a fraction of the cost. You can join my online training army. All right. I have in-season training for teams and individuals. I have off-season training for teams and individuals. Everything. Parents, I can get you too. All right. I got hip mobility and stability and strength programs on there to help every athlete out there. Sold, well over 1,000 of those. Okay. It will help you, and Train Heroic has allowed me to do that. So a massive, massive, massive thank you to Train Heroic.
Boom. Thank you also to Helios Hockey, one of the best hockey products out there. It's a sensor that you put in your shoulder pads that gives you real-time data, real-time feedback on your play, specifically when it comes to your stride and your stride mechanics, and also a hustle score, which all the kids absolutely love. This also pairs with whatever video you are using to record your son or your daughter when they're playing. So it goes to Live Barn, it goes to your iPad, your camera, whatever it is you're using, and boom, you get your shifts cut up for you right after the game. Huge value add. So go to helioshockey.com today, and if you use the coupon code ThinkTank, one word, you will get a 20% discount on a Pro Annual or a Pro 24-month subscription with them. Or you can go to helioshockey.com/teams, and you can get that discount for all the team or everybody on your team. Also want to thank Crossbar, the best software solution out there to help you run your organization's operations. And so many youth organizations are switching their software platform over to streamline and run your youth organization operations so easily. So they have a really easy, nice, sleek website design. They have registration for everything from your season to drop-ins, clinics, and lessons. There's an unbelievable club scheduler. There's a five-star communications app to be able to communicate with all the people within your organizations. Also things like financial tools and reporting, volunteer and facility management, like it has it all. And for all of you out there that run a youth organization or a part of running a youth organization, you got to switch over to these guys at Crossbar. So go to crossbar.org today. And lastly, thank you to all of you who continue to listen and support our podcast. Our only ask is if you can interact with us, we would appreciate any like, any comment, any download, any rating or follow on social media or the podcast apps that you have. It really helps us in our mission to continue to grow the podcast and make the hockey world a more better place, more positive place. And so anything that you can do to interact with our podcast, like I said, through your podcast app, iTunes, Apple Podcast, Google Play, we're everywhere. That would be phenomenal. And with that, thank you. You're going to love this episode. So without further ado, here we go with Rob Dombrowski. It might not feel like it, but spring's right around the corner. Know how you can tell? Golfers are hitting the links, and we have some tournaments to talk about. And if you want to do more than just talk, put your money where your mouth is and get in on all the tee to green action with DraftKings Sportsbook. From Thursday's opening round through the closing on Sunday, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with tournament props, live betting, odd boosts, and so much more. If you've never been on golf before, it's easier than you think. Just pick something simple like a golfer to win the tourney and make your pick. It's just that easy. Here's something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. We are so excited to have on this episode of the podcast out at Sacred Heart University. We got Rob Dombrowski. Rob, how are we doing today?
Good. I appreciate you guys having me on. I'm a big fan.
Woo. Well, we are a big fan of Sacred Hearts, the Pioneers, man. And we were talking a little bit offline. One of the first teams I ever did team building with Coach CJ Maritolo years ago, and first place in Atlantic hockey right now, probably gearing up for a big playoff run here. So first of all, how are things going there at Sacred Heart? It's been a pretty good year for you guys.
Yeah, everything's going well. Being in the new arena has been huge for us, just having everything under one roof. I think it makes the experience for the players better, certainly for the coaches and support staff. So, and it's funny, we have a lot of transfers, and you're always kind of like holding your breath, like how's this team going to jive and how's everyone going to get along? And it's the most fun I'm having. It's only my third year, but this group is like incredible in terms of a culture standpoint. And I think everything just kind of trickles off of that. So it's been huge so far.
I can imagine, man. Culture is everything in college hockey right now with the way that the landscape is as far as recruiting and NIL and transfer portal and stuff. Like if you don't have like a set culture that's really positive and people are bought into, and you don't have great leadership in the room to get people to be on the same page. Like I remember like when we were all freshmen going into college, like how important it was to welcome in the newcomers. And every year there's like more and more newcomers based on the freshmen and the transfers and stuff. So like, what do you think it is? Like, do you guys just have a great, captains group? Like, obviously a lot of it probably has to come from the coaching staff, but how have you guys managed in this era, this new era that we have in college hockey to kind of stay above it?
No question. It definitely starts with the captains. We're super lucky. Our captains have been here for 4 years now. And the way they kind of interact with each other, and then the way I think they've seen our program, they had the experience of being outside of the new rink before when we were still splitting time between Total Mortgage Arena and Wonderland of Ice. And I think that them seeing the metamorphosis of our program and kind of seeing what we were before that to where we are now has really been huge for us, because they know that they're like, boys, we don't want to go back to what we were doing before. Like, this is what it takes to get how we got to this point. And the coaching staff, we definitely piggyback off of, we try to empower them as much as we can. And we definitely have our pillars that we want them to kind of buy into, but we really, especially with this group, wanted it to be player led. Really talking before this year as a staff, we're very close. Again, being under one roof, we sit down, we talk every day. And in the summer, what we really thought going into it was like, this has to be player led. And from top to bottom every day, like I was saying it, I was on another show recently. I was just saying, I don't need to coach a lift if I don't want to. Like, I love doing it and being in there and around it and, creating the energy, but our captains like can run that thing just as good as I can. So it's been great to see.
That's massive, and that's not easy to do. He's making it sound like it's easy, but obviously you've put in the pieces and you've taught them well enough that you can step out of the room and do things like that and have that trust and leadership that they're going to pay attention to the details and do things correctly and with intention and all those things. So that's amazing. But for our listeners, like what do you think what differences have you noticed not being under the same roof and then being under the same roof? Because when you, as a coaching staff, hockey coaching staff, can be way more coordinated with the off-ice trainers, strength coaches, everybody who's helping the team in the off-ice capacity, you're only going to level up the on-ice play. And so, when I was playing, there was so much of a disconnect with a lot of the teams and organizations that I played with in pro, in college, even in juniors, between, what are we doing in today's practice? And then what does the workout look like? Are they butting heads? Are you, filling the same bucket because they just didn't talk to each other and actually have a plan? How much easier is that being under one roof and differences that you've noticed?
Yeah, it's incredible. When we started, I was just getting my feet wet with, I had never been involved in the in-season. I was strictly an off-season private sector strength coach. So I only saw those guys when they had no other stressors. They had summer skates, but the stress wasn't the same level. So I'd go out to practice and I'd have to drive across town to wherever we were. Couldn't always do that because I work with the women's team as well. Same thing, trying to get to their practices. Like, couldn't always get to their practices. So you have a workout and you think you know what you want to do. You think you know what part of the season it is, but it could be as simple as the coaches talked about something that night and they're like, we're changing the practice plan. And if you're not at that practice or you don't have a way of capturing data off GPS or anything like that, it doesn't matter what you wrote. Like, you're doing them a big disservice if they just had a grueling battle practice or they got put on the line for some reason and they're conditioning and you're like, hey, all right, you guys just conditioned. Now we're going to test your vertical jump. Now we're going to do this and do a power workout, but they're smoked. So being under the same roof and being able to step out and poke my head out at practice every day for both teams has been huge. And then it's really just the best part of my day. Literally, it's my favorite part. I was just saying it to Scotty. It's the little interactions we have. Like, I'll step in the coach's lounge or I'll go up to their offices and just being on the same page, whether we make time for it or not. What's the temperature of the group right now? What's what do we have looking into here? Like how's this team doing? How do we match up against this team? What do we need for this week's practice schedule? And we're fortunate enough, we have for both teams, we have like data capture with GPS. We have Catapult for the men and Oliver Pro for the women. And we can kind of look at it and see what those workloads are like in practice. And being under the same roof with the AT staff, now I can go to the AT staff and say, hey, this is what I'm noticing. I'm seeing a trend in injuries here, or what are you guys seeing? And what can I do in lift? And all of it serves the player. So like the building kind of connects all the gaps, all the different facets that go into it. And the player is the center of what the building connects everything to. So just being able to have the daily conversations with the AT staff, the coaches, everything like that. And then the players not having to drive over to a different rink and having their gear in one place. And we'd come back on the bus. I remember, say we were at Total Mortgage Arena for practice, but we were going on the road to go play. And then our first Monday practice was going to be at Wonderland of Ice. We would leave Total Mortgage Arena. Then we'd have to go back to go play, come back 2 a.m, drop our stuff off at Wonderland of Ice, then go back to Total Mortgage Arena so they could get their cars and go home. And now for our equipment managers, just being able to do it under one roof is,
oh man,
yeah.
Gave that guy hours back in his day, to say the least.
For sure.
Well, let me ask you this, because I think what you're talking about is so relevant. And at the college level, the staffs that are the best are the ones that are all on the same page. And I'm talking, we're athletic trainers, strength coaches, but also AD, academic coordinators. When everybody's moving in the same direction, that's great. When you got friction in that, like it really hurts a lot. And going along with that, we got a lot of youth hockey parents and youth hockey coaches that listen to our podcast. And one of the things that worries me a lot about youth hockey is the fact that it's become so privatized. And everybody's got their own skills coach. Everybody's got their own strength coach. Sometimes it has to do with the team that they're playing for. A lot of times it doesn't. And what I worry about is those people don't talk to each other. Kind of similar to the conversation that we're having. So the strength coach might, just absolutely blast them in the gym for a 6 a.m. workout. And then later on in the day at 3:00, the kid's going on and doing a skills session, and the skills coach didn't talk to the strength coach, and the skills coach is blasting them. So it's at 100% intensity. And then they have a practice that night, and the coach has no idea that they're doing that stuff. And the coach is like, okay, it's Monday practice. We're we don't play until the weekend. So we're going to blast them. So now they've had 3 10 out of 10 workouts, yet nobody, they weren't talking to each other. And what comes from that? Burnout, overuse injuries. And it's like, I feel like it's a big time problem. Like I worked at a place a few years ago, a AAA program, and there was a kind of like an online academy that was associated to it. And even though we were kind of in the same offices and stuff, people still weren't talking to each other that much. And it really hurt the kids. There were a lot of injuries and stuff. So if you had any advice, or if you wanted to talk to the parents or the strength coaches out there, how would you best suggest to handle that situation? Because I feel like the more and more kids are getting these private coaches, and I'm not saying don't do that. It's great to have a good skills coach, and great to have a great strength coach, and great to have a coach for their team and all the other stuff that you're doing. How would you help them to navigate that situation?
That's an awesome question. I believe, number one, I'm going to speak to the strength coach first, just because I'm biased. That's what my role is. And I love the title, and I don't get caught up in titles, but I love the title director of performance. And I think all strength coaches who work with, especially hockey players, should view themselves in that light. You're not just, if you just think about what you're doing in the gym with them, you're setting them up to fail. There's 23 other hours in the day. So I think where we separate ourselves from a competitive advantage as strength coaches is, hey, have the conversation with the kid, empower the kid of, all right, what are you doing after this? What does your week look like? I ask every kid 7 years old on, and some of them are like, what are you talking about? But they get it eventually. It's what does your week look like? What's your Monday look like? What's your Tuesday look like? How many games are you going to play this weekend? And a lot of times they're not even thinking about it. And then I'm educating myself of I'm setting their expectations. So I'll kind of write my programs, and I run a private business as well. And I have a lot of different age groups who come into me, and I'm always asking them, what did you do last night? What did you do today? Or what's your plan today? What are you doing? How many games this weekend? And they might think like, oh, this is an easy workout at first. Like, hey, he's cutting it back. We're doing more recovery based work. We're doing a longer warm up. We're doing more mobility work. But every single person, from the little kids I train to the pro guys I have, they're like, I feel great on Friday night, on Saturday night, or, game day. I have my legs. I finally feel really good. So it's kind of doing the investigative work and setting them up for success, educating them on sleep, educating them on recovery, on how much they should be skating, on what they should be eating. And that's a lot. But I think if you want to have success, that's how far you have to go as a strength coach. And, the second thing for parents is really trying to get your athlete, your child, to understand and be educated in somewhat of it, and try to point them in the right direction. And I have so many parents who call me and they're like, he's not going to listen to me. She's not going to listen to me. Can you talk to him? And maybe that's just all it takes. Maybe it's, if they're not going to listen to you, point them in the direction of somebody who will. And that it's on that person to educate the athlete to set them up best.
Love that. Go ahead, Max.
Couldn't love it more. I couldn't. That was harder than a golf clap. I don't know what that was. Maybe a volleyball clap. But my God, I mean, guys, like,
slow clap.
Obviously, I'm biased because this is also my realm and what I do and where I live and the reason I was able to play 10 years pro. But like, the role of your off-ice coaches, your strength coach, your performance coach. I'm a certified strength coach. I don't call myself a strength coach. I call myself a performance coach for exactly what he's talking about. Like, it's not, any idiot can make people sweaty and tired. All right. Any CrossFit level 1, have 2 hours of learning a certification course, can make people sweaty and tired. To be able to help people enhance their performance, not only over the course of the off season and then have that translate to in season, but more importantly, to continue to build and stay strong, stay resilient, stay as, away from injuries as much as we possibly can, non-contact injuries and things like that, and being able to level up every day throughout the week and the year, but still feel your best to play your best on the weekend, is where the art and the science meets each other. And what he's talking about is, like, I look at it, I call it weekly energy expenditures. You as the performance coach, it helps you and the hockey coach to be talking, to know, okay, we had a bus trip that was 6 hours after a game on Saturday night. None of the guys were sleeping on the bus. They didn't go to bed till at least 2 to 4 a.m. Sunday they had off. They were probably sleeping in the wrapper all day. They're a little bit groggy. Blood was pooling up. We have 4 practices this week. We're at home this weekend. Okay, school. What do all of those things put together throughout the day? And on top of that, the week, looking like for what they have to expend every day. And do these guys eat well or do they not? Because that might also play into our decisions as how we're going to train them. And, what are the minutes the top guys are playing versus the bottom guys? And what are their workouts going to be? They're a little bit different. And all of these things go into our decisions on how we're going to program in season. And so the more that the off-ice staff, the PTs, the ATs, the strength coach, the performance coach, are talking with the coaches, and the more you let them know what's going on through their on-ice stuff, the better that we can program, so we can keep them strong, get them stronger, and have them feel their best come game time, which at the junior level, college level, pro level, that's what really matters. Do they feel their best and ready to play on Friday and Saturday night when it matters? And then secondarily, are we keeping them at the very least the same strength they had coming into the season? Maybe some of the guys who are not as don't have as high of a training age come from a junior league where they didn't have a strength coach. They didn't put a priority on this stuff. Those guys will actually get stronger in season in college. But these are all of the things that we as strength coaches and performance coaches are going around in our head nonstop. So the more information that both parties have, hockey coaches and strength coaches, the program will be able to rise quicker because everybody's on the same page and there's less friction like Toph was talking about in the scenarios he started with. This stuff is so important when we're trying to maximize performance.
I mean, that's such good information for everybody involved in wanting to make sure the kids are in line to be able to reach their dreams and be at their best.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
I want to bring it back a little bit for you here, Rob, though. I think about, at least in my head, I think about kind of like, let's call it the Mount Rushmore of strength coaches in hockey, just talking in the hockey world right now. We talk about Mike Boyle. I would put Brian Galvin on there. Vex, I'd put you on there. Talk about Matt Nickel, what he's doing up in Ontario. But one of the other guys who we haven't actually had on the podcast or talked about, but you've worked with, is Ben Prentice. Ben Prentice has trained so many guys that have played at the highest levels of the game. And I know from like my former teammate, Matt Molson, swears by it. Like he worked out with him for a long time. I don't know if you were around when Molson was around. He was probably making everybody laugh and stuff. Just an absolute beauty of a human being. But what was your experience like working with Ben Prentice? Because I've heard so much about him, never met him before, but certainly has a name in the hockey world.
Ben is the most passionate individual I've ever met. And he never rests on his laurels, and he could. And working for him, what was really cool is like we would constantly, it was this really organic thing where I'd be getting ready for a workout and he'd like walk in and I'm like, well, I'm not working out. I need to soak up what this guy's about to say. And he always had the next kind of where we were going next of, all right, I really like what we're doing here, but this new piece of research just came out. Did you see this? I remember like triphasic was a really big thing, and Ben had been kind of training people based off his obviously his own system that he had made, but he's like, I think we can incorporate this. I'm like, well, the summer's almost over. Like, what are you talking about? Like, we're all set. We've been having success. And he's like, no, like this is good stuff. Let's do it. And maybe he'd put his own twist on it, but he was just always pushing the envelope, always looking forward of, how do we better suit these players? And he has a very, he's going to tell guys like it is. And I think that's why so many pros gravitate to him, is because he's going to tell you like, hey, your diet's crap. You're not in shape. You think you're in shape. You're nowhere near it. You're doing this wrong. You're doing that wrong. And I think a lot of people appreciate how honest and upfront he is. And it's probably something that's a little bit lost because everything we did was like personal training there. And, we kind of mentioned it before, now a lot of these teams are doing stuff out of a rink and they're training as a team. And that's good. Like there's that environment's great, but I think it's kind of that personalized approach can be lost sometimes, and not everybody can afford a personal trainer or whatever. But Ben was certainly able to really customize for every athlete. Every athlete we worked with, and I helped them write the programs, had a different path that they were following. That takes a lot of work, and that's a credit to how much he wanted it to be tailored to the athlete.
Nice. Vex, have you ever ran into Prentice or?
No, but I've worked with guys. I've worked with guys that train there at different points throughout the career. Was Derek Brassard there? Do you remember?
Yeah. Brass was there. He was there. He was. I don't remember if he got to the new gym at all, but we had him for a little bit. He's really good friends with Cam Atkinson, and Cam was like one of our main guys who trained with us. And Brass was great. I remember, I think he was dealing with like a wrist injury, so he was like training with one arm at one point. But yeah,
great dude. During COVID, him and Chris Weidman were teammates in Ottawa, I believe, and Wides is one of my guys, and he flew in. He's like, this is so embarrassing. This is so funny. Wides comes to me on like a Thursday. He's like, hey, Vex, you care if one of my buddies jumps in tomorrow? He's just coming in for the weekend. was like, yeah, sure. Didn't even ask him his name. I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. Why? Of course, bro. Comes in. I'm like, hey, what's up, man? I don't know people's faces. He's like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, nice to meet you. He's like, I'm Derek. I'm like, oh, where do you play? And he's like, with Ottawa. And I was like, oh, Binghamton. And he's like, no, Ottawa. And I was like, oh, cool, man. Awesome. Super nice to meet you. He looks young.
Yep.
He's already got like 900 games at this point in the NHL, first rounder. He didn't say his last name. I had no idea who it was till after. I'm like, hey, thanks a lot, dipshit. Why didn't you tell me that was Derek Brassard coming in? But he loved the training so much. He wound up staying almost the entirety of the COVID offseason. He stayed for he was coming for 1 week, 1 day, 1 weekend, and he wound up staying for 3 or 4 months. But he always told me how much he loved Prentice too, and just a great guy.
Yeah.
Well, we get the chance to talk to Vex about this, but having you on, Rob, like when you were working with Prentice, you're working with the elite of the elite of the NHL. A lot of guys go there and work with him. What sets those guys apart as far as their mentality, as far as their work ethic, as far as their approach, to be at that level, unless you're insanely gifted by God, which a few get through that way. Most have just an unbelievably pro mindset as it relates to wanting to get better with their performance at time, not at times, all the time. So what being in the gym with those guys and having the ability to affect them and see them, what sets them apart? What sets those guys apart?
Yeah. The drive that got them to the pro level, and, everybody, it varies sometimes. Like you get the great ones who have the skill and the drive. You got some guys who are all drive, some guys who are all skill, but we were lucky enough. I think a lot of our guys were both skilled and very driven, and, the way they approach all facets of their life, what we were talking about earlier, is like the nutrition. They want to know what they should be putting in their bodies. They'll put whatever the best things are, they'll do, whether they like it or not. What should I be doing for recovery? How much sleep should I get? What should I be playing golf? Should I not be playing golf? And the veterans didn't let it kind of cripple them. The younger players, like sometimes they would overanalyze, but they were very coachable and were willing to listen. And I think that was like the biggest thing is wherever they came from, whatever point they were in their career, they just wanted to get better. So they would do whatever it took and they would listen to whoever. Like I couldn't believe I started off as Ben's intern my first summer, and then I started coaching the following summer, and I couldn't believe I'm like, these guys were listening to me. Like, holy crap. They're like texting me, asking me what to do. And one of the stories I tell my players all the time, one of the coolest experiences I had when I was starting off, I remember Max Pacioretty, he came in at the wrong time, and it was like an 8 a.m. session, and Ben thought he was supposed to be later, and he was like, hey, it's supposed to be my first leg day this summer. I don't know what we have. Would you want to train me and try to make it as close to like our phase 1 leg day as it is? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, okay, I don't want to walk tomorrow. And he just turns the music up, and I'm like, that is a pro. Like, that is a pro athlete. He's like, do whatever you need to do. Let's get after it. I'm ready. And I was just like, this is incredible. Like, this guy's at a different level.
I love that, bro. That's so awesome. End of Paul Stastny's career, I was training him online, and he was living in Vegas, like in the same subdivision as Pacioretty. And I was like, send me a video of what gym you're going to so I can see all the equipment and write the program based off of that. He's like, I don't know. I'm going to Pacioretty's garage, and he's got everything you could possibly ever think. So just put whatever you want in there, and he's got it. And I was like, oh, okay, let's go. That's a great story. I love that.
I don't want to walk tomorrow. I love awesome. That. You know what though? That's like, it's so good for kids to hear, because like there's a lot of kids out there who are the best player on their team at 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, maybe even older, who aren't coachable, and I have it figured out, like, let me be whatever. And like, I think kids need to understand that there's a major ceiling to that mentality, every level you go up, it gets a little bit harder. And as you get to the levels that we're talking about right now, most of the guys, the reason why they're there is because they didn't have that mentality. They're coachable. Like, I can't tell kids enough how much of a superpower it is to be coachable. And we used to say it all the time, like even in college hockey, like the best recruits aren't your freshmen. The best recruits are how much better is your sophomores than your freshman year. How much better is a kid as a junior than they were in their sophomore year, and so on. Like if we had a recruit that was a great recruit as a freshman, but they didn't work hard and they were the same player as a senior, that's a bad recruit. Like that doesn't go on as a good recruit, even though on paper when they come in, it may look like it. And so just that coachability, wanting to get better. I really like the word curious. Like these guys are really curious. They're always looking to find new ways to kind of edge out their competition and be better. Like that, it's a superpower. It's a superpower. And for the kids out there, like that's a big deal. You look at the makeup of a lot of these guys that are the best at what they do. They're always wanting to get better and always looking to surround themselves with people who will push them and challenge them and get them outside their comfort zone. And so for the kids out there that think they got it all under control, like you better change that mindset, man.
Yeah. And Jeff, I know you can attest to this too. And I think it's actually starting to change around a little bit more. And I'm just kind of piggybacking off of it in my field in strength and conditioning. I come across a lot of players, young, old, whatever, that they don't necessarily always love the weight room. And they're like, hey, I'm all set. I'll do it on the ice, whatever. And for the younger athletes out there who don't really love the weight room right now, I promise you, and it's not fair. But I've been around GMs. I've heard like sometimes GMs, like they only know the look, like if you pass the look test, like that's something that they can have input on. Like they might not be able to always have input on your skill or how you played in each system or whatever, but they have input on if you pass the eye test or not. And that's not fair, but I hear it a lot. I hear it a lot from pro guys. And sometimes it catches them by surprise when they're at camp and they're like, dude, the GM just like looked at my body fat. Like, and like, I got him telling me that my body fat's not good, whatever. And I don't say that to like give people like the wrong take on it, but my point is that control what you can control. And some of the other things too is like you'll meet a guy who's like, I don't love the gym. Like I don't think strength matters. Well, maybe strength isn't going to be what makes you score more goals, but it could prolong your career. And while you're young, I promise you, when you get to college, and definitely when you get to pro, your amount of time that you get to train to get faster, get stronger, to decrease the risk of injury, you don't have that much time to do that. Definitely not in the pros. And everyone thinks, like, I talk to my pro guys all the time and they're like, yeah, college, like you guys play 2 games a week on the weekend, whatever. But those practices, depending on who your coaches are, or what, those practices are really hard. And you're missing out on anywhere from, 6 to 9 months of being able to train because you're always pushing the envelope and you need to feel ready for the ice. So point being is just when you have time to improve physically, do it, because you're going to be surprised how little time you have once you get to the higher levels.
And especially now with the way the game is too, like when I was, and just training, like when I was in college, all we did, back squat, clean, barbell bench press. Like it was just so in a phone booth. And obviously in-season training is different than off-season training, and your training doesn't need to look like you're playing hockey. That's not what like hockey specific type of training means, if that's even a thing. But like it's just come so far. It's come so far in the last even 10 years, just like what guys are doing in the gym to be able to stay strong or get strong in season without you being overly sore. Like guys used to always, I don't want to lift on Wednesday, I'm gonna be sore on Friday. Not if your coach knows what he's doing. Mm-hmm. If you trust your strength coach and he knows what he's doing, you can still put in work and not be sore come game time Friday. And that should be the case, and especially, getting to college hockey and working with people like yourself that have all this knowledge and experience. It is everything. And I tell everybody, and Topher and I talk about this all the time, because the state of youth hockey, kids are spending $8 billion a year and they're going on 67 road trips a year and spending all this money. Talk to your organizations, ask to go on less road trips and have one more workout a week in season. or bring in somebody who knows what they're talking about that can mentor the people training your youth organization. That will go so much further for development than any random 1-17 tournaments you're going to go to when they're 12 years old. And it's just, it changed my life. And that's why I'm so passionate about it, because I was not skilled enough to play Division I hockey. I was not skilled enough to sign in the NHL. I was not skilled enough to get paid 10 years to play hockey on that alone. The gym is the reason that I got all of those things, and so I'm just so passionate about doing it the right way that levels up in season and off season.
Nice work, Vex. Love it.
Thank you, Toph.
Well, I want to have you guys geek out a little bit on just performance from a strength and conditioning standpoint here, because I think it's a really important conversation for kids to hear, especially the ones that have dreams of playing at the higher levels of hockey. Like, what are you guys seeing from the younger kids, that are growing up that have these dreams? Like, what kind of physical skills in the weight room are really important for these kids to develop? As it relates to, how it can translate from the weight room where you guys have them to the ice. What are some of those things that are really important?
For me, it's definitely number one, it's being well-rounded. And I say well-rounded, meaning, you have to have the strength to be able to skate properly. And these parents, I'm the first person. I believe in letting athletes be athletes. Like, I love speed work. I love jumping. I love agility, close and open-ended, change of direction type work. That's always something I do. But what that might look like for a younger athlete, there might only be a smaller dose of that. And for, an elite athlete who already has that base level of strength, there's going to be a lot more. But you have to be able to hold yourself up on skates. And that doesn't mean that you have to back squat X amount, or you have to deadlift or whatever. It might just be, if you're working with a younger athlete who's not ready to touch a barbell, I can't tell you how many kids can't just hold a bodyweight split squat for more than 20 seconds without breaking at the hip. And it's really boring. It's not fun. It hurts. It's not good, but it's one of the easiest things you can do to get yourself to be able to skate in a proper manner. And I'm kind of on this big kick right now where I'm seeing that, like, all of my really good skaters, like my actual technically good skaters, knock on wood, have far less complaints about hip injuries, have far less injuries, are pretty strong in the weight room. They're fast. So it's like, let's just give you the tools to be a good skater. And it doesn't take that much. It's just, the classic, like, you need to have a strong lower body, you need to have balance. So if you're training your quads, train your hamstrings. A lot of physical therapists, a lot of these kids are going to PT now, and they're all doing glute work. They're all working their glutes, but the glutes getting worked in hockey a lot. So the groin has to be able to keep up with that. And I keep seeing groin injuries earlier and earlier and earlier in kids' careers from overuse. But it's like, let's just start doing groin exercises now. They're boring. They're not fun, but you can sprinkle them in. You can put them as an active rest or anything like that. And it's really just that. It's really just being able to control your own body. It's not so much stretching. Like, for me, parents talk about stretching a lot. He needs to be stretching. And I'm like, yeah, he's tight, but it's not really the passive range of motion where somebody can move your limb. It's you being able to control your limb. And and Jeff, I know you know this, you don't really need, there's not much research on being flexible. There's actually more research on flexibility causing injury. And I always use football as a guide. Like, if I go to make an arm tackle out really far and I can reach my arm out really far and kind of clothesline somebody, if I don't have great strength, if I don't have great control, I had the flexibility to make that play, but I just tore my pec off the bone because I don't have control there. So for me, it's like, if you just have control of your joints and you have strength by doing more like active hip mobility drills or shoulder or spine, you're probably going to feel a lot better and not stretch yourself into pain and be able to kind of control your joints when you fall on the ice or anything like that.
Oh, I love it. You got to be able to load the end ranges. Flexibility is not mobility. Flexibility can help mobility. Mobility helps flexibility, but they're not the same. Mobility is loading You have, like he said, that's such a great example. You're in an end range position. You're reaching out. And yes, you can get out there, but then if somebody hits you and you tear your titty off, right? Okay, yeah, you had the flexibility, but you weren't able to load that flexibility. And it's super important. I also love what you brought up about back squats, because I've been getting crap from coaches for years, not as much anymore because of the thousands of players, tens of thousands that I've now worked with online and in person. Not a big deal. That I have never, ever back squatted, ever. I don't believe in it. And I know that, and I also believe that there's no exercise that people need to do or don't need to do. I do believe that as well. However, I believe that there is more of a transfer from more unilateral lifting lower body in the off season. I changed to a little bit more bilateral, but I don't ever back squat. I don't like it. It's just me. Every coach is different. I don't care. It's totally fine. But like, I would much rather see younger players be able to walking lunge, hold split squat isometrics, high box step ups, more things like that are more athletic in nature. We are not football linemen. We don't dig our feet in and then just push our upper body and our legs don't move. We move one leg at a time. We shoot off one leg. We stick handle. And what he's talking about, being able to control your own body. In hockey, this is so important because we skate on knives. Every other sport trains on the playing surface that they play on. That's not hockey. It's not hockey. And your groins get abused because when you push out against the ice, that is resistance. But our recovery portion of our stride is not resisted by the ice. So there gets to be this imbalance of abduction strength versus adduction, which is why we need to be focusing on a lot of adductor or our groin strength in season, out of season, all of these things. And for me too, controlling your own body, massively important. Hockey's not like when Toph and I played, and Toph played a much different game. Toph played a lot more now, like the game of hockey is played now, than how I played. I was straight line, north-south. There is zero east-west in this guy's game. It is north-south. Now it is so much of controlling your body, stopping, starting, agility, head up, deception. So for me, when we're talking about young players and things that they should be working on, controlling your own body, strength, so that as you get older, you can accelerate and decelerate and change direction with your eyes up while you're moving and be able to control the stick and execute skilled tasks. Now, that doesn't mean you're playing hockey in the gym, but there are exercises that will help you be better at those things on the ice, and those paired with general GPP and strength programming, I think they should all go together and flow together. And it's hard to do that, but everything I've heard about you, man, you absolutely crush it. And it's why I'm sure a major reason why your team has all the success that they do now is that off ice preparation is everything.
Oh, I appreciate it. And certainly, like, it's funny too. I keep having these thoughts, and we have a shooting room in our gym. And I have to say, both our men and women's team, when we first got it, we got it in season. So I'm like, like they're taking a bunch of shots already. And, then they're coming in, it's the new toy. So everybody wants to get in there and use it. And I have to say, though, we've gotten a lot better about, they've gotten educated, and I hope probably broken record to them, but we're to the point now where like they're really only going in there in the off season, or they're going in there when we're coming back from an injury and we're doing a little bit of return to play type protocols. But I've always had this thought, and I thought it was pretty cool that you said it. Like we don't need to do exercises that mimic the game. Like you can't get so far away from something that allows you to create overload and create specific changes to your nervous system and muscle tissue. So yeah, like if you're in skates, like jumping on something in the gym, that's not going to have that carryover.
Have you seen those?
Oh yeah, jumping on the tire. I mean,
there's guys. They say they've got guys in the NHL literally working out at hockey skates with these blades, and they've reached out to me. And no shade on anybody, but I'm like, no.
What are those called again? I don't even know.
Dry blades. And I believe, and I don't, again, to each their own. Maybe balance work. Maybe that's going to help your ankle, knee, hip, how everything works together. Right. But like, just go get on the ice and leave the gym to the gym.
Exactly.
Well, you mentioned.
Let me say one more thing here, Topher.
Yeah.
because also like there's such a big difference between in season and off season. If somebody comes and watches a week in the middle of the off season when we're doing our most intense stuff and our most athletic stuff, people are like, wow, this is unbelievable. And this is sexy and all things you're doing. This is so cool. If you watch my in season stuff, it's like, wah, wah, wah. It's way more boring, because what you need to think about is the empty buckets. And Mike Boyle talked about this in the first year of our podcast. You want to fill up the empty buckets. You don't want to keep filling that same bucket. So in season, the reason that I look at in season training is a little bit more bilateral than the off season, because in season, you're getting all your unilateral stuff on the ice. You're reaching, you're rotating, you're skating, all these things. And that is your unpredictable movements. Hockey is not football. You don't run up and button hook and like that's your route. It's read, react, change direction, all this stuff. It's very, very, there's so many variables to it that you can't control. So then I don't want to go and do that uncontrolled variables moving in all different directions, because I don't want to fill up that same bucket. We'll do a little bit of that, a little bit more unloaded, but then we'll load more generic, more, the stuff that everybody knows in season, because I don't want both of those things competing against each other. I want them to help each other, if that makes sense. And that's the difference between in season and off season. And that's why I started my online training company that I started talking about on this podcast, because all these junior teams who couldn't afford a legit strength coach, performance coach, were all going to CrossFits. And so they're lifting in all different directions. They're sprinting, they're running 800 meters in between lifts. And I'm like, this is so much more like a hockey practice than any workout you should ever be doing in season. And that's why you got 4 guys blowing out their shoulder on every team in the NOL doing CrossFit in season, and that stuff just drives me nuts. Like, in season is not the sexy stuff.
Yeah. And last thing I'll say, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. And in season, I'd say in season, you want to express force. So you're not really concerned with, hey, I need to do this different exercise to fill the gaps. I just need to do the safest thing to express a little bit of force. So if that's doing a squat or a hand supported squat where I don't have to worry about balance, do it. If I'm going to get on it, if I'm going to get on a Smith machine, sometimes that might actually be better than trying to do a heavy loaded split squat where you're trying to balance. And maybe you have a little gap in your window where you can sprint and your hips aren't going to be beat up from sprinting. You do those sprints, but you can, if you just express them, you save the training, like the actual high volume for the off season. If you just express speed, express force, express a little bit of repeated sprint ability, you're going to feel good. You're not going to lose it. And like you mentioned before, the players who might be a little green, who don't have a background of training, they'll actually get stronger and faster. Like all my freshmen their vertical jump is going up, and all the upperclassmen are like, dude, what the heck? Like, they're getting mad. And
the competitive juices are like, whoa, what's going on here?
Well, let me ask you this too, because you talked about your best skaters, and this is something, again, hockey, we train on the ground off the ice, but then we play on a different surface. It's not football. I was with my buddy yesterday who had his best year playing for the Lions. He's on the offensive line, and I work with him a little bit and in the off seasons. And we were talking about why he said, the only reason I'm in the NFL is because the guy who did my combine training was so good, and my numbers were so high that nobody knew who he was, because he didn't have a spectacular college career. I think he only played 2 years of college football. He was playing water polo. This guy's 300 pounds. Okay. He's just an athlete, but his numbers were so good at the combine that he kept popping up on every team's radar. Like, this offensive lineman has got this and this and this. We got to give this guy a chance. And that's how he got in the league. Hockey is not football. It's not basketball. It's not baseball. You can't train sprinting and have it completely translate from the ground to the ice, because they're different mechanics. So everybody always says to me, how do I get faster on the ice? And yes, we want to jump. We want to lift explosively. We want to sprint. And I care more about repeated sprint ability than top end sprinting ability, honestly, for me and my guys. But what you really need to do is crack down on the way that you're skating, because efficiency in your stride will get you the most benefit compared with strength and power output off the ice, not just always sprinting, because it's a different type of the way that your hips move, the way that your chest move, the way that your arms move, the way that your T-spine, it's not the same as running. Right. So yes, we want to sprint, and we do a lot of sprinting on Mondays all throughout the off season, but also, and Mike Boyle said this, and I was like, man, that just makes sense. He's like, at BU, we would do sprints every single Monday to start the practice. And I was like, oh my God, why did I never think of that? That is so, like, when they're fresh on Monday after the warm up, we're going to sprint from goal line to blue line, complete recovery. And we'll do that 3 to 5 times throughout the entire season. And I was like, man, because as we know, and parents, you got to know this, like the skating stride and how fast you are and how effortless you are, which will also allow you to have more energy throughout the game if you're not inefficient in the way that you skate, which is something that isn't totally the same as running. It will help your players get faster a lot quicker. I'd rather you spend money on a really, really good skating coach to help your player learn technically how to skate well than a whole bunch of other things out there. And that will really, really help them, along with what we're doing in the gym.
Yeah. Good skating, it buys you time. And that's where I think players kind of miss the boat sometimes. I see a ton of guys doing skill work, and I like skill work as a strength coach because it doesn't interfere as much unless you do it wrong. And that's another point that we could talk about too. But skill work is great, but skill work's not always very specific to a game. And what you can control is, like, if you can get to a puck faster, I love watching some of our players. Like, guys can get to a puck faster, and then they have the time to look over their shoulder. They have the time to make a decision. They're doing all of this with their head up because they're trusting their feet. And yeah, like, sprinting's great. It trains your brain, right? So, like, your brain has to move fast. So, like, yeah, your limbs are going to move fast, but it's definitely not the same. And what I like sprinting for is in the early off season, it just, when guys are skating less, when the volume's less, it's like, all right, we could get speed work without some overuse injuries. We're going to shift it to the hamstrings. It's going to be more, quad and hamstring over abductor, adductor. So it's nice for that. But yeah, I tell skill coaches all the time. I talk to a lot of skill coaches in our area, and I'm like, can you do skating work with them? Because, like, they're already coming to you for skills. You will literally transform these kids' lives if you just offer some good skating practices. If you offer some good little tidbits of skating to them, you will change the game. I don't know why more people don't do it. I know you have to kind of specialize, but
it's like you were talking about with the split squats. It's not sexy. It's not fun to, like, to try and change your stride is really hard as you get older. My main gym right now, I'm going to be moving soon, but my main gym right now, I've got windows that look out on the ice that all my guys skate on right after they work out with me in the off season. And we have a couple of skating coaches who work with the pro guys, the college guys, and I'm watching, like everything they're doing. And a lot of them are like, God, like, I lose so much confidence when I go out there with Diana because she tells me everything I'm doing wrong and how I'm inefficient and all these things. But, like, my God, is it hard to change your stride when you get to be 25 or above. So, like, parents, if you're going to invest money, like, a skating coach that knows technically how to skate and being efficient and things like that, it will really, really, really go a long way, because you can add strength and power onto that stuff. It's the same way that I talk about with athleticism. I would rather work on athleticism with young players, like playing multiple sports and controlling their body and playing stuff with their eyes up, than turning them into the Hulk at 10 years old, 12 years old, because it's a lot harder to do the inverse. Teach them to be the Hulk and then try to teach them body control and fine motor skills. Like, if you do that stuff first, then you can layer on strength, power, speed and stuff. But if you're not an athlete at your core, it's a lot harder to do those things. And it's the same thing with the skating stride and having it be a pretty efficient stride.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret, with Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts go abandoned and way more sales going through. So if you're into growing your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling. On the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Skims uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period for 3 months at shopify.com/Westwood1, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/Westwood1 to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/Westwood1.
Do you like skating treadmills? Let me ask you that. What are your thoughts on those?
I don't have too much experience with them anymore. They seem to be a little bit of a thing of the past in this area. Like we, I think it's like Athletic Republic. Like we used to have one. It actually closed down. I don't know how many people use them anymore. And I don't know. I know that there's stuff out there. Like you always hear like, they're bad for your groin, whatever. But I think if you control the dosage and if you have a coach there, like there probably is a little bit less transfer, but when you're young, maybe you can instill some kind of like universal points of skating. Like, hey, if you just can kind of sit lower in your stride, you'll actually get a better push off. Maybe you won't be as choppy. So like anything else, I think there might be general carryover. But it's the devil's in the dose.
Yeah.
I have a strong opinion on this, Vex, because I tore
I know you
my
do.
ab on a skating treadmill.
Yeah, I hear
And
that.
so because we had one at Cornell and we would use it a lot. And the days where we would use it, I love the word that you used, dosage. Low dosage. On the days where there were low dosage and you would go from the treadmill to the ice, it was kind of like, oh, I feel like my stride, like I'm sitting lower, I feel like my stride's a little longer, so whatever it was, like, that's just the feeling. I don't know any of the mechanics or whatever, but like you felt like, okay, my stride's, but when we used it for the workout and we would do like conditioning on it, it was off. And like I told my ab, we had 4 guys in 1 year that had hip, ab, groin, some sort of surgery like that. Right. And so like, the low dosage stuff, I think I would rather do it on the ice, probably knowing what I know, because I don't know how many people are actually like educated on how to coach the treadmill. That's probably, it goes back to it, the what or the who. Like I'd rather have, it's got to be a good coach who knows what they're doing. And I don't know how many people actually know that, which is why I should say people should stay the hell off of it. But like, I feel it's interesting. I want to go back to what you guys were talking about from the skating stuff, because it makes so much sense. When you have and I'm going to bring a coaching perspective into this now. When you have more efficient skaters on your team, one of the years that I was at Cornell, we were like, we got to get faster. Like our team needs to be faster. Like, and then kind of diving into why. Like, why do we need to be faster? And there's a lot of hockey things that go into it. But 2 of the main things was, number 1, we could be a third period team. Like our conditioning is going to be so much better because they're not expounding so much energy because they're so efficient with their skating. And so like we can wear teams down, and that's the kind of the identity that we had because they weren't expending so much energy with inefficient skating and inefficient stride. And the other thing was just very simple, very, very simple. The more efficient your skating is, the less injuries you're going to have. I'll defer to you guys. I'm not the expert on this, but I feel like the more efficient your stride is, just because skating is so different looking than walking and running, which is what humans do naturally. If we have people who understand how to skate efficiently, you're probably going to have a lot less injuries. And so those were 2 of the things that we talked about. Like, hey, like we're going to be able to have a lot more energy to play a great third period game by having more efficient skaters. And also we're probably going to decrease the amount of injuries that we have. Would you guys kind of agree with that on both those accounts? And am I missing something too?
No, there's so many good points that come out of what you just said. And it's got to be, this is where being under one rank and being when you're a strength coach, this is where being well-versed in what goes on outside of the gym really pays off. And parents, like when you're investing in a strength coach, talk to somebody who kind of knows the game and understands that portion of it, because like we can all easily just go out and bag guys on the ice, right? Like we could say, get on the line, go skate up and down until you're tired. But the problem with that is if you watch anybody do that after like the first like 10, 15 seconds, they're not skating properly anymore. So like if you're doing your conditioning on the ice, The problem with that is you're ingraining a bad pattern into them. So you're risking overuse. I believe in conditioning on the ice because specificity is super important, but you can get that through drills and through proper duration of your drills. So you talked about speed. I loved how you said, if we're faster than everybody, we'll have better endurance. That is a lost art, and track and field coaches get this right too. If we always say, like, you talk about like a compare two cars, right? So you have a Porsche, like say this Porsche's maximum miles per hour that it can go is 200 miles an hour. And then you have like an old Volkswagen Beetle where its max is 80 miles an hour. And because I'm really, really fast, my 40 miles an hour, my 50 miles an hour feels like nothing. I'm tapping the pedal. I'm barely going. That feels like nothing. There's no fatigue there. Where you're in that Volkswagen Beetle, or you're someone who doesn't have a lot of speed, that 40, 50 miles, you're almost redlining. Like, you're starting to get tired. So I always try to say to my players, like, they're like, hey, why don't we condition in the summer? Like, why don't, like, our coaches, there's sometimes there's a way to build culture with the conditioning and stuff like that. I totally understand that. In the summer, they're like, hey, should I be bagging right now? I'm like, no, we are going to do. Speed is so genetic. Not a lot of us are born with speed. We have to do everything in our power to get you as fast as you can and not do anything outside of there that's going to detract. It's really easy to get slower. Like, you can get in cardio shape, no problem. Speed is very hard to get. So we do everything in our power to get as fast as you can. And then we kind of come in with the conditioning work afterwards. So it's like, prioritize speed, because everything else, speed is kind of the tide that raises all ships. Like, all of my really strong athletes are also our fastest athletes, but I have plenty of strong athletes who are not fast at all. So it's like, if you're fast, you're going to be strong. You're going to change direction pretty well most of the time. Our fast guys, like, some of them get tired, but then, like, that's where the skating comes in. So I have guys, like, when I first meet them, they're like, hey, I'm bagged. I'm like, well, I know you're in great shape in the gym. On the bikes, you're great. When we do sled workouts, you're great. We need to talk to our coaches about your skating habits and your skating technique. So many, like, to unpack there. That's like, the fact that you say that and knew that is, like, incredible, because I think that's a lost thing right now.
Just trying to do what I can, educate the people on the podcast,
What the people need.
Exactly. Hey, Jeffrey, hit that mute button, pal.
I got you. The third meet on the Meathead podcast this week. Congrats, Topher. Honorary meat. Love it.
I like it. Well, we've been on for almost an hour. Vex, you got any other last questions here for Rob?
Let me see. I guess for all the players listening, because we have so many players that listen, right, and want to make it to the next level, whatever that means. And I get asked this all the time, and I hate this question, but I'm going to ask it to you. I get people asking me all the time, what's an exercise I can do to work on blank? And I'm like, it's not one, it's literally everything you do. But let's say you got players at home that are below 16, so they're not able to drive to a gym. And this is, I think, because this can apply to anybody. Even if you go to a gym, let's say you can't get there for a week or something, mom or dad are on vacation, you're getting babysat. You can always be doing stuff at home to get better. No equipment, players below 16. What are some things that you would have them do just to be getting better at hockey?
Yeah, that's a great question. And
Thank you.
If you allow me to have more than one exercise, I would say, definitely. Again, like we touched on it earlier, being able to hold a lunge position, like a deep lunge position, that is going to, it's not as specific as the skating stride, but it's going to kind of hit all muscle groups somewhat evenly. It's going to get you kind of coordination, balance, and stability. So just hold a lunge, just hold a split squat, try to keep your torso as upright as possible. Do it barefoot. So you kind of get the challenges of swaying side to side, and lift your heel, close your eyes, like, just add more chaos. Like, there's a lot of ways to kind of add chaos to continue learning. And then the only other thing I want to say, and not everyone has a chin up bar, find a way to go to a park, even if you can't do a chin up, hold up there. If you can't hold up there, hang from there. This is almost like a meathead answer, and there's not as much science on this, but all of my fast players and all of my strong lower body players are really good at chin-ups. And if you continue to be good at chin-ups, you're going to kind of always keep yourself in shape. If you're always pushing your chin up, if you gain too much weight too fast, you're going to be like, oh, wait a second. Like, because this happened to me. This happens to athletes at all times. If you can't do chin-ups well, you're going to be like, oh, what's going on here? Well, maybe you gained like 10 pounds out of nowhere, or maybe there's something going on with your shoulder mobility or your grip strength or something like that. But we don't even test lower body strength. We test vertical jump, and that's kind of like our gateway into lower body strength. But then also I just use a chin-up test. It's way safer, and I can kind of tell who can move their own body. When you can move your own body and handle your own body weight, you're going to overcome inertia faster. You're going to be able to move your first step. Everybody loves first step. Your first step's going to be faster.
We're doing karate in the garage after this. Let's go, man.
Oh, they're just best friends.
Oh, man. I don't know if you've heard, but I did break Chara's Boston Bruins record, 34 full-length overhand pull-ups all the way down. Every rep had to lock out, and I was super fast. He just explained it perfectly. I love it.
You know what? He's not even excited about the fact that like you just gave some great information out there. He's just really pumped that you gave him the avenue to talk again about him breaking Char's pull-up record.
Oh, shut your butt!
I'm nowhere near that.
Hey, anybody who works out and I tell them I did 34 lockout pull-ups, are like, "Holy shit, bro, you're a savage!" Because that is I'm proud of that, man. I had to work my ass off for that. But he's also right. I was super fast. Like, so I'm thinking of like, okay, all my guys who are really good at pull-ups, they are fast. I don't have anybody. I have some guys who aren't good at pull-ups who are also fast, but not anywhere near as many as the correlation between guys who are 20 and above and are fast. So that's really interesting. I'm going to start looking at that. That's cool. And all the other, like, this is obviously he knows what he's doing, but like he said, it also predicts this. It also is a good indicator of this. It also is a good indicator of this. And like, this is, where you get out of like, whoa, you can't play Division I if you don't back squat. They don't even test lower body strength, right? You don't need to do, there's no one exercise anyone needs to do. And there's no exercise that is actually a bad exercise. If there's somebody who has the best squatting form ever, and that helps them, I would let them squat. Most hockey players suck at squatting, and that's why I choose to work on other things. But what he just said is, most of you won't even understand the level that was at, but it was awesome. I loved it. Thank you.
Boom. Mic dropped him. Love it. Rob, thank you so much, man. This was such an awesome conversation, and I know you guys are gearing up for a playoff run, already in first place out there at Sacred Heart, and hopefully you guys can bring home a title too. But this is a great conversation. We would love to keep you for a couple more minutes to do 10 questions with us that will be housed in our Hockey Think Tank community. If you are not in our community yet, go to community.thehockeythinktank.com and get in there. We have already since this conversation before, we announced that we are doing a partnership with the Rink Shrinks, the other hockey podcast that people love for this community. They're going to be a big part of it moving forward. And so, we're always trying to make it better, always trying to connect more good hockey people. So this 10 questions will be in there. But Rob, this was a freaking awesome hour, man. An unbelievable hour. Really appreciate your time. And this was great.
Thank you both. I appreciate it. I had a blast.
Woo.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.